clutching you so tight, afraid to lose. I retreat more each night. Where is my voice? I've muted myself, and in my shyness, it's you I repel. I will find my way to express my voice. I must find my way to ignite my spark. Find my way to me so we can be we. Find my way. The fractures between us rise into view. I cling to the scraps of the care that falls through. Where is my strength? I've crumbled apart, hiding from the truth. I've shattered my heart, but I will find my way to regain my strength. I must find my way to restore my will. Find a way to me so we can be we. Find my way. Here is this moment to take a chance to go on alone or grow and advance. I will find my way to express my voice. I must find my way to ignite my spark. Find my way to me so we can be we. Find my way. I will find my way to regain my strength. I must find my way to restore my will. Find my way to me so we can be we. Find my way. Find my way. I'll find my way.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for finding your way to Sunday Live with me. That's Caleb. Every weekend on from 5 to 6 p.m. I do want to announce on this show that I will be taking the rest of the summer off after July. So we have a couple more guests coming up in July. Folk singers, punk rock band, maybe a comedian, recording studio. Watch the listings on my Facebook page because things are going to be shifting around a little. And then after the end of July, we're going to take a break for a couple months and get through this heat. I think it's like 100 degrees in the studio right now. You figure it was already in the high 90s and then all this equipment running. Yeah, it's a party in here. So let's quickly see what's going on with Joe down in the San Francisco Bay Area. Oh, if I didn't say so, I'm in Seattle. And this is a very strange situation. Hey, Joe, you out there?
Yeah, I'm here somewhere in the wilds of Berkeley.
Joe,
I got to say...
what's going on? Why is it cooler in the Bay Area than Seattle?
Because we hijacked your cold temperatures and gave you our heat wave as a result that we had last year. So you're getting a leftover heat wave courtesy of Northern California.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we've taken a break. And though it's beautiful outside, and it's actually very clear on the coast, Berkeley itself has this high sheet of sort of stratosphere cloud over it. So we have our little canopy while everyone else bakes in the June sun.
Well, I'm baking in a studio, man. It's like being in an oven.
Well, I have my water with me. I had the audacity of going for a 2-hour bicycle ride today along the Bay Trail, and it was blown over by the wind. It was very windy, but I noticed with all the wind, a lot of the windsurfers and sailboaters out there were getting tossed about and freezing their butts off. So I figured, me on the dry land of a bicycle, a mere half a block away from the water, I should not be felt sorry for. Just to ride on, face the headwind, and count my blessings in terms of a hearty exercise.
Well, granted, I could potentially drive 15 minutes and go to the Sound, and that's cold water, deep cold water. So for my complaining, I do have access to cold spaces. Yeah. But it's just unusual, but it's largely up here because the wind stopped. So there's no airflow.
One thing I do as a sort of to make a sport out of it is you get a big tub of ice cream and try to achieve a brain freeze during a heat wave.
I'm going to pass on this, like ice bucket challenge kind of stuff. No, I say let's just enjoy life, and none of this. Yeah.
Well, think of it as
I got my ice water here with a little bit of juice in it, and I'll have some ice cream out on the balcony, which I call the veranda. So I'll take some ice cream out on the veranda after we talk. The temperature will drop. Now, for the challenge that we're having with the heat, it's like at night, it's dropping down. Like last night, literally in like 30 minutes, dropped from 98 to 88 and then down to 78. So the evenings still are cool. So we're not as bad as like in the South Bay or in the Central Valley of California or Spokane here in Washington, where when the heat's there, it's there. I think we should, speaking of heat, my understanding is our guest is in hot area, so I'm going to jump right into the show. Our guest this week is Anna Wichmann, and she's a performer, singer, songwriter, and has agreed to come back on the show and do an episode with us. And here's a little bit of her work.
I'm a winner. Raw beginner, I am a winner. Sing it, sing it. I am a winner. Never was nearer, never saw me clearer. Staring in the mirror. The air is on fire. Yeah, I say I'm a liar. So I am bidding higher. The truth is I'm guessing nothing on the wire. I know we sing together, or is even better. It really doesn't matter, because I just opened up a brand new chapter. Well, I'm not gonna blink first. I'm not gonna blink first. Finger on the trigger, did you see the snicker? I'm not gonna blink first. I'm a winner. Sing it, sing it. I am a winner. Never was nearer, never saw me clearer. Staring in the mirror. Zero, sing it. I am a winner. Sing it, sing it. I am a winner. Never was nearer, never saw me clearer. Staring in the mirror. Well, I'm not gonna blink first. Yeah, I'm not gonna blink first. Future stunning, my conduct unbecoming. The truth is I know so well you can outgun me, but I'm not gonna blink first. I'm not gonna blink first. Finger on the trigger, did you see the snicker? I'm not gonna blink first.
That was I Am a Winner by She's Excited. So Anna, are you out there?
I'm out here. Yeah. Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
good. Waving from Seattle to New York. How's it in New York?
Good, good. Summer's here. It's hot, but I like summer. I'm happy. And school holidays apparently just started, so the city gets empty, and that is a beautiful thing.
So you're gonna film a music video? Like you can get
Um,
outside and people won't be around?
well, I mean, not around never happens in New York City, but like when it comes to getting a table in a restaurant or
Oh,
biking, not as much traffic. It makes an impact. So it's a nice time, actually. Yeah.
very cool. And so I'm a winner, and that video I've seen a couple times now, and I never noticed before that at one point you're holding an accordion. What is up with the
Yeah.
accordion?
Yeah. This is a joke that the guy that I shot the video with, his name is Oliver. We go way back. He's a very, very good friend of mine, and he's a big Nirvana fan as well as I am. And we were just joking that, in the Smells Like Teen Spirit video, Kurt Cobain is doing this tapping guitar solo while in reality it's just the he's just playing the guitar. And so we figured, hey, we can have some surreal stuff in this video as well. And we shot this part in Oliver's music studio. And he had an accordion around, and we're like, sure, let's use that. So this is where it comes from.
Cool, cool. With Ballad's Breakfast, I recently did a one of the rock lottos, and in the video, I'm playing bass really aggressively. And I don't know, I don't play bass, but everybody, I did like just a bunch of takes, and they put it all over the place, I guess, because it fit. But yeah, so there's the in art there's this autobiographical element, but then there's something that's not autobiographical, right? It happens, and that's how things got edited. How much do you control your vision of what you want to do, and how much do you let sort of the nature take its course and randomness come in?
I try to stay out of my art as much as is possible. It's not so easy, actually. But I think I managed to do it more and more, and I think that's very exciting. Because the less I'm actually like trying to force something into my DAW, the more interesting and surprising it is to me. And this is beautiful. Like, where does this come from? I don't really know. It feels more like something is just coming through, and that's a beautiful feeling. This is being purely creative and not having an ego forcing yourself to write a song. So I enjoy when this happens very much. Yeah.
Have you ever experienced automatic writing?
Automatic writing.
Yeah, this was a thing from like I don't know, 1890s, part of the whole mystic uh, movements. It was like you put the
Okay, I
pen
know what
down
you.
and the pen writes itself, and you're not the one writing, like a Ouija board.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. Um, Not when I actually write with my hand. No, never. But when it comes to making music, yes. Yeah. So automatic musicking, I know.
You wake up the next morning and your DAW's up on the computer, and then this track is laid out, and you're like, when did this happen?
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of my songs I actually dreamt, so this is always interesting. But usually, yeah, I need to force to wake myself up and remember the stuff. I'm not a sleepwalker, so to actually like transport my dream world into my DAW is an effort, but it's worth it.
It'll
It's
be a
very
good
nice.
feature saving component. So maybe when Elon Musk gets Neuralink together, you can tie it in, some
Oh,
sort of
I'm
DAW, dream DAW. I mean, it might make for some really crazy music, but very, very David Lynch audio.
I can do David Lynch without without other means, but this would actually be really interesting. Yeah, I'm dreaming of tools like that for a while already. This would be great, but who knows? Who knows what we come up with?
I don't think so. I've never produced a track that I dreamt. I do sometimes wake up with music. I'll hum it into my phone, or I'll have an inspired moment. I'll hum it into my phone. I never go back. I never remember to go back to my phone. I remember to record it, but I never remember to go back like, oh, I'm working on a song. I should go back to this raw material. It doesn't occur to me until I have this conversation. And then after this conversation, I won't remember to go back either. I did have one automatic writing. I was typing with the song, and I'm playing the music. And I got this, I'll write lyrics quite often in karaoke software. So I've got the audio kind of vertical here with a page, and you type things out of how you want to sync it into the song. And I find by thinking of things as karaoke, it reduces some sort of barriers to writing. Like if I think, oh, I've got to write something on a piece of paper, it doesn't work. But if I'm working in this software, it comes more easily. And I remember at once I was just typing away, and I was like, I didn't know what I was typing. And I'm looking at the screen, and my fingers were moving, and it typed out the whole song. Never had it before, never had it since.
That's interesting.
It was very,
wow.
And I looked at these lyrics and I said, I have no idea what that means. So
that's cool. But it was English though, I guess.
It could happen. And I've only ever had a song pop into my head complete once as well. I was at a gas station, pumping the car, and literally verse, chorus, everything just boom in my head. And I ran back home and did scratch vocals and stuff. And so you never know.
Well,
Most of the time, though, when people talk about the mysteries of music and where it comes from and it's channeling through now, me, it's like a sculptor. I'm chiseling away at stuff, and I chisel away, and then I polish, and I do all these work process, and then there's a song. They're not divinely inspired for me.
Yeah, I don't know, divinely inspired, but I don't know. Usually, I just start, and then it's like best case scenario. It's like a flow, and after a couple of hours, I have all the parts, and it's just there. And this is always. It's just a very beautiful thing without me actively doing a lot. But then I become a sculptor. Then it comes to sound design and mixing and producing. This is very different, yeah. But these first initial stages is more of a, what is coming through? And I enjoy that very much.
You hit on a very good point. Quite often to the listener, and in cultures where we're so steeped in media, we don't actually think of composition taking work. It's like as if the singer just did this, and then that's the final work. But you and I know that that's not the case. What do you think the ratio for you is between that first moment and then the mixing and mastering and all that stuff before you get out the other end?
Well, mixing and mastering takes a long time for me, because if you write the song that you then mix, you're so close to the song that I simply need to take time off to get fresh ears. So this even just takes a long time, And then you mix, and then in the final stages of mixing, I need to not listen to the song for 4 days until I get back to it. And this just eats up time. Mm-hmm. So it's good to never just work on one song so that you can rotate and do something else.
Very cool. Well, speaking of more than one song, I want to play another track that has a very different style. And when we come back, talk about some of why different styles happen in your world, whether it's due to internal or external elements.
Want to deceive me, believe me. You're not doing well. You long to hurt me and send me to hell. Coward, 'cause I know you doing swell. You want to grab me and slap me as well. But I got the power, coward, I got the power. You tried to fool me, how cruel, baby. But you're not doing well. So unaware that you're under my spell. But I got the power, coward. Can't make you, I can't make you do what I want you to. I got the power. Can't make you, I can't make you do. 'Cause I want to. Make you sleep, walk into your worst nightmare. So clueless, I swear that I will come at you out of nowhere. So clueless, defense is useless. Defense is useless.
That was Manipulate by She's Excited. And we have here on the show the woman behind She's Excited, Anna Wichmann. So that song has a very different tone than the first song.
Yeah. You think so? I think they belong together, actually. The mood is different, but this is also something that just interests me. I think I'm interested in diverse music. I'm a fan of many different genres. It doesn't really matter which genre a song belongs to. If I find the melody interesting, if the lyrics are great, if I like the beat, I like drama and dynamic in songs. These are things that really interest me more than genres. And I really like to experiment with vocals and not only with how I can express and how I can sing differently, falsetto or scream or deep or high, but also like manipulating vocals when I mix. And so all these things kind of come together when I'm writing a song, and it's very much about the mood that is there when I start to write it. Actually, yeah, that's mostly it.
Does it come, you said, we were talking earlier about how you try to make it not autobiographical to get yourself out of the way of the thing, and that's hard. Because when you hear a piece like I'm a Winner, people see that, oh, that's very universal, it's a pick-me-up song. That's if they listen to it superficially. I agree with you, both these tracks actually are both about empowerment. And, right? That's there. It's just one happens to be presented in a slightly different way.
Yeah, also the perspectives I think are different, right? The person that speaks is a different person. I really like this about David Bowie, I guess, that when whatever he sings, he might be David Bowie just singing a song, or he might be a character that he makes up, or even just another person in the whole album that he impersonates for this one song. Perhaps it's kind of that.
By the way,
Yeah.
I second that, everybody. If you don't like a David Bowie song, just play the next song. You will find it be, because he talked a lot about the autobiography thing, that his music he claimed was not autobiographical at all. He's writing stories, like a way a novelist is going to write a story versus someone writing their own biography. And so I agree with you. There's only so far you can really believe that because it's hard to get yourself out of the way of the creative process. It's your voice, it's your sound, it's your ideas that ultimately are playing a role there. Switching gears, let's talk about collaboration, but I have to show the title screen first here. We have a new segment, and it's called Humble Rumble. All right. We're going to talk about how we collaborate and humble ourselves in the world. So this segment is all really about being humble. And this came out of Joe and I, after the show, would always have these conversations. And I realized that I was like, oh, no, you're great. And he's like, oh, no, you're great. And I said, what are we doing? I thought, we're having a humble rumble.
Yeah, perfect.
So what in your world, when we're as artists, we're creating the music, you happen to be the writer, the performer, the producer, the engineer, right? You're wearing a lot of different hats. At what point do you step back from that and engage with other people? And what of that makes you feel humble?
Even as a musician, I like to step back. I love to collaborate. It's always enriching. Be it somebody invites me as a singer onto their songs, or I invite singers or spoken word people or rappers onto my songs. That is all just beautiful, because if people come together, it's something that I can never create just on my own. I also like to work with other people, and if I have the chance to organize something, to do something, I'm always super happy to invite other people and give them these opportunities as well. And it's really exciting because I recently stepped back into the shoes of being a curator. I've done a lot of curating while I was living in Munich, but I have never done it in the US. So for the US, this is my comeback as a curator, which is great. And last year, during the pandemic, during the summer, like about a year ago, I co-founded an artist ensemble, XRE, the Extended Reality Ensemble. And this year we have the amazing opportunity to officially host the Ars Electronica Festival Garden in New York City in September. And we have the power and the means to invite artists onto a stage in Queens and onto the world stage of the Ars Electronica Festival platform, which is great, which is really, really great. But I don't necessarily just feel humble while doing this. I feel it's wonderful to give that power to other people. That is just an amazing feeling, to help others and to give them chances. That is just beautiful.
And I think the word humble can have a couple definitions here. You can be humbled by someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there is being humble, which doesn't have to be stated, right? It can just be how you approach the act of giving, right? Of saying to someone, I want to give you the spotlight. And maybe you don't know how to give yourself the spotlight. Here, let me shine it on you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, or even our society and our structures don't allow you to be in the spotlight. So this is also something that we really try to do, to make and create a platform for voices that are not necessarily represented on our platforms as much as they should be. So this is also a big thing. I'm feeling humbled all the time. so this is definitely a thing. I'm in awe, of so many creatives, musicians, coders, and even non-creatives. I don't know. There's so many people out there that live people would say normal everyday lives. Even these people inspire me and humble me. Yeah.
Me personally, it's the everyday life people. The people who don't have to shout and yell and point fingers at themselves, they're already doing it. Like a couple of weeks ago, I heard a sentence that was, "What's wrong with being normal?" And I was like, yeah, I like that. But There's a quote somewhere I read about how, yes, the leader will get recognition for his team's success, but Frank, who stayed over the weekend to make that deal go through, and we never hear about Frank. And it goes deep. You say, okay, well, that's his job, blah, blah, blah. But then you think, oh, everybody's heard of Abraham Lincoln. Okay, important historical figure in the United States. Has everybody heard of, and I don't remember his name. I look up his name every month, and I still don't remember his name. Why? Because media isn't shoving it at me, right? So it hasn't built the neuron connections. But he was the man who saved, one of the people who have saved the world in my lifetime. He's the man that got lead out of gasoline. And what people don't understand about that, they go, oh, lead out of gasoline, what's the big deal? He was the man that he was finding the age of the Earth. So he's going down to Antarctica, et cetera, getting these ice cores, and he was finding this coating of lead on everything. And he was like, where's this lead coming from? Meteorites? And he figured out we were literally sending all this lead into the atmosphere and coating the whole planet. And for folks that don't know, lead is toxic, period. There is no safe level of lead. So we as human beings were coating our planet with a substance that is toxic to us, period. And no one was doing anything about it. And it took one guy to face down his own bosses, the oil industry, everybody to make it happen. And that this person should be the first person on every human being on the planet. This wasn't national, this was international. That humanity might not be here today if it was for this man, or we would have swollen joints and dementia and all these things. Well, we need to start celebrating certain people like that.
I agree.
Because I trust you, the people most of the people that you hear names of, they're not really aiding your life or the future of your children at all. Anyhow, one brief, I'm going to bring up the Extended Reality Ensemble screen again. So if you guys would like to find out more about the Extended Reality Ensemble, this is www.xrensemble.com. So check that out and check out the stuff that Anna is working with other artists on and giving them a platform and voice. All right, I'm going to move on to another video. This is Love Remix.
Wanna be my fancy boy? Think I need a fancy toy. Wanna be my fancy boy? Fair enough, I say with love. Want me to be a fancy girl? Think I need some fancy girls. Should I be a fancy girl? Fair enough, I say with love. Yeah. Ooh, come on. Yeah, come on. Now it's time to bet on myself. Now it's time to bet on myself. Now it's time to bet on myself. You piss me off. I say it with love. You fuck yourself. Wanna be my, ooh, think I need a fancy toy. Yeah, wanna be my fancy boy. Fancy boy, I say it with love. Yeah, alright. Want me to be a fancy girl? Think I need some fancy curls. Should I be a fancy girl? Fair enough, I say it with love. Yeah. Come on. Now it's time to bet on myself. Now it's time to bet on myself. Now it's time to bet on myself. Didn't mean to piss you off. I say it with love. Go fuck yourself. Hell, come on. Oh, come on. Go fuck yourself. I say it with love. Go fuck yourself.
That was Love Remix by She's Excited. I find this video very fascinating to watch, and each time I watch it, I don't see anything new that I didn't see before, but I keep seeing the thing I don't really like. It sits in between messages or in between emotions, and it doesn't resolve them, which I really like. And it makes you go back and say, okay, what's going on here? Oh, what's going on here is exactly what's going on here. It's, and yet there's this, it's plainly delivered. And yet there's, normally someone would set this up as a twist. But I don't think it's like really honest about it. You don't have to watch the whole hour-and-a-half movie and go, ah, that's whose father that is, right? It's like, it's very clear. But I just love how, not so much how everybody's interacting with you as the artist, as, you know, as a model artist, the music. I feel like the video is showing all the different ways that people interact with an artist such as yourself, either passively as a passive consumer, and then at the end, of course, as an active participant, right? The guy at the end, he's dancing, he's doing his thing to your thing. And everybody really is doing their thing to your thing, but he's doing it in a fellow artist creative production where other people are doing it as either a passive consumer, someone having maybe romantic interest, or in this range. And I think that's a really cool thing about this video.
Yeah, cool. I'm happy to hear
the biggest thing is what you do. Like, I could see someone doing a video like this where you're disdaining the person who's consuming you, but you're kind of like checking you out. Like, no, your look on your face says, I know that's me, but I'm kind of checking out my own work too. And that I don't think I've ever seen in a video, those two things happening at the same time. And it creates a really interesting tension.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. Yeah, I really like this, that a lot of people are seeing this metaverse and are liking it. And yeah, that touches me, because I like this too. I also like that this video gives the viewer a realm to think about things. Apparently, it's not super on your nose. It like a lot of people see different things in that video, and I really like that. Actually, I think this is great art if it opens up a dialogue and people are like, hey, this aspect is amazing. I'm like, wow, cool, because this person thought it's completely different, you know? And then we come together and everybody throws their opinions in, and a great conversation can start. I really like this about the love video.
So what percentage was intent and what percentage just happened?
To be honest, when it comes to videos, for a lot of videos, I actually, if I shoot them with other people, I actually paint a storyboard. So it is very detailed, because usually when I shoot music videos with other people, we only have a couple of hours. I don't know, like if it's a lot of people, 6 hours. And you need to be fast, and you need to know what you shoot, and you need to know that you do not forget anything, because very often you cannot shoot in the same order that the video is going to be edited, right? And so I have lots of paper with me and lots of notes, and then check. So it's incredibly organized and fast.
Nice. That's really cool. And did you I'm going to play Add Clarity next. Did you do the drawings in Add Clarity?
No, this video is a collaboration, because the whole album is a audio-visual album, a collaboration with visual artists. And Add Clarity was completely done by Erin Wahufos. She's an amazing visual artist, and she also did the drawings.
Cool. And then you provided her with copies of video, different assets.
Exactly. Yeah,
to incorporate.
exactly.
Okay. Cool. So she created the storyboard for this video?
Yes, she did.
Because there's one brief moment in it that, to me, has consistency with all your other videos. So I'm really surprised that it was someone else who brought that moment to it. And I'll talk about it after I show the video.
Cool. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess I should show it now. Now that I Cool. Here is Add Clarity by She's Excited.
Add clarity. Split seconds, detailed motions. Shock therapy. City lights and notions. Wandering. Music sticking to my heels. You know just how it feels. I'm wandering. If I refuse to sleep, 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 who's gonna dream my dreams? I love you too. I'm wandering. Memories sticking to my heels. You know just how it feels. I'm wandering. If I refuse to sleep, 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 who's gonna live my dreams? spit it out. Brace yourself, see it through. I see you've got some demons too. Cough it up, spit it out. Ain't this what our life's about? So I listen to the darkness and close my eyes and improvise. I love you too.
That was Add Clarity by She's Excited. We're here on Sunday Live with Anna Wichmann, who is the creative genius behind She's Excited. Definitely check out her work on YouTube and I'm sure on Facebook, etc., etc. Add Clarity is your most recent single release, yes?
Exactly, yeah. It's from my last EP called Shock Therapy.
Okay, so, go ahead. And you were saying it has this collaborative element between you were doing the music and there's the visual component with other folks.
Exactly, yeah. That was the whole part of it. It's just an EP. It's 2 original songs. Then I worked with remixers, which I love doing as well. And then we had 5 visual artists producing visuals for all 5 songs. And everybody was like people all over the globe, some here in New York City, one in Bali, one in Poland, one in Panama, people from the West Coast. So it felt really, really great. I loved the project very much.
How did you create those connections?
Yeah, good question. Things happen, right? It just happens. Like Erin, for example. Erin I met because during the New York City lockdown, during the really brutal phase in April and May, a friend and I, we hosted an online show called The Future Is Now on Mozilla Hubs, where people could enter with avatars and the people could perform to give people the space to perform, as well as an audience to actually experience live art despite the lockdown. And Erin, I invited a DJ to spin, and Erin did the visuals for the DJ. So we met online in one of the festivals. And then we were like, hey, we need to get together in person. We're both in New York City. And when we met like several months later in summer, when we were able to meet, we were like, yeah, it was great. Like we were hitting it off, and she's an amazing artist. She's curating as well. She's curating the Creative Code festivals and things like that. She belongs to the artist collective Never Knows Better. And so she invited me to co-curate a piece of the Creative Code Festival in November. So actually I did curate already in the US. Perfect. Yeah, and then I was like, hey, I'm planning to do this audiovisual release. Could you please create a video for one of my singles? And she was like totally down. That was great. I sent her the song, and the first thing she said was, this is like St. Vincent on acid. And I'm like, yeah, that kind of nails it.
I can hear the St. Vincent in there. I can hear a little bit of Depeche Mode in there. And it's a track that adds like a next layer of edge to the tracks that I've heard of yours. And then I listened to the remixes, and they have videos too. Go check them out again on the YouTube She's Excited YouTube channel. And you have so much material. I was like, I want to put one of those at the end. I'm like, no. Give people something to go see. So Bali, okay, that explains 1 out of 5 people. So with everybody else, you just met someone, or you were doing something and that introduced you to someone?
No, I also online meet people. If I see interesting art, or people like connect with me, like the guy from Bali connected with XRE because he was interested in the work from the ensemble, and this is how I got in touch with him, for example. So it's a both It's working both ways. Either I reach out to artists or they reach out to me. It's great. Yeah.
Very cool. And the reason why I'm asking this is a lot of artists struggle with this connecting bit. They might be just in their little niche, or they might be more introverted, whatever. And so any advice for people on how to connect and collaborate?
I think one of the biggest problems that we create in our heads is the level of control. So what I am good with is to let go of control when it comes to a collaboration, and say, hey, you do what you have in your heart and in your mind, because I feel then the best result can come out of it, despite me saying, hey, I have this thing and this is how I imagine it. Could you be a part of it? And sometimes I think because people are afraid that someone will take over their project or baby or music, this is also like why they hesitate to reach out, because you're vulnerable. You are basically like, you're an artist, right? This is your heart, what you're doing, and reaching out to other people and participating is a very vulnerable thing. So I get it. But I think watching this and being with it and saying, I'm going to do it anyway, will just enrich your life a lot. And even like just shooting a text on Instagram saying, hey, I really love your work. Just go for it. They can only say no, And again, of course, it hurts if somebody says no, but then it's better than not even having tried, So I think always take the opportunity and try to do it. Being vulnerable and getting hurt is a part of our lives, and it's okay. It's just what is happening.
Better to do that than to not live life at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're at the top of the hour, which you guys, frequent viewers, know is the Mystic Moment. So this week on Mystic Moment, I want folks who want to do things creative, whether it's visual, whether it's audio, to look at their lives and think about the technology they have around them. The iPhone in my pocket is more powerful than the computers that have ran the nuclear arsenal in the United States for half a century. It's far more powerful than the technology, well, the computing technology, certainly, that put astronauts on the moon in the late 60s and early 70s. So you have far more power than you realize. If you want to do something, there is technology right now available for you to do that. You might not know it. So make sure if you think that you have barriers in your life, that you're leveraging all of your technical resources. And as Anna just said, leverage that technology to connect with people. And you're going to get a certain amount of people that things won't work out. Certain people say no, whatnot. Just don't worry about that. Worry about the yeses, or focus on the yeses and what potential can come out of those yeses. So that's your homework this week, to look at your life, find a barrier in your life that you'd like to address, and see if you can leverage technology to address that. And that could be a piece of software that allows you to be creative in a certain way, or to reach out and connect with people. Here's a video that has a bit of that vibe.
Everything you touch turns to rainbow. Everything you kiss becomes rose. Everything you want smells like shadow. Everything you are. I was stirring Venus when I thought of you. fool on the moon. When I thought of you, I was never, ever bored. Gods, I thought of you, but felt pretty alone, bored. Pretty alone, I thought of you. Yeah. So when getting back to my rocket, I take the mirror out of my back pocket, because when I look at me, I see you. When I look at me, I see you. When getting back to my rocket, I take the mirror out of my back pocket, because when I look at me, I see you. When I look at me, I see you. Like the planets, love is round. Like the planets. Everything you touch turns to rainbow. Everything you kiss becomes rose. Everything you want smells like shadow. Everything you are, oh. Everything you touch turns to rainbow. Everything you kiss becomes rose. Everything you want smells like shadow. Everything you are. Like the planets. Love is round. So when getting back to my rocket, I took the mirror out of my back pocket, because when I look at me, I see you. When I look at me, I see you. When getting back to my rocket, I took the mirror out of my back pocket, because when I look at me, I see you. When I look at me, I see you.
That was Round by She's Excited. I tied this in with Mystic Moment, that feeling of technology, that feeling of access to things, the feeling of collaboration really hit me with this video. And also, I'm always hearing about people feeling limited. Everybody's anxious because they're being threatened and they're having things taken for them. And that's certainly happening in the world. But a lot of the folks who seem to be expressing this have more available to them than any human being has had in history. And yet it doesn't seem to be enough. And
Sometimes I'm sorry.
oh, no. I was just going to say, we were talking about the costume, and you were like, oh, those are just twist ties, these things that people throw away. And here you are using them in this incredibly creative way. And it makes the outfit look that much more advanced and really built up. And you're like, oh, it's garbage bag ties.
Yeah, this is another collaborative, magical piece for me personally, because at that time, like when I lived in Cambridge, a very good friend of mine, she is that I met there. She is a photographer, And she was like, hey, a good friend of mine, she is actually shooting music videos. So I reached out to the friend of my friend, and her name is Asha Kepka. She's from Poland, but she lives in Cambridge. And she agreed to do the music video with me. And she designed the whole costume and everything. And I was in awe. I was like, oh my God, this is just so incredibly amazing. It was brutal to shoot this because it was 8 hours in the hot sun in a plastic onesie, a cat suit, but it was totally worth it. And I had a lot of fun. But yeah, I also think sometimes that people are overwhelmed because they have too many choices, too much stuff around. I really like to work minimal because of that. Because if I only have like a certain amount of choices that I can actually really like look at and like weigh, I can make a decision, and it's much quicker than, oh my God, I have like a million options. Which option am I supposed to choose? You know? So so sometimes I'm thinking that like just go back to a minimal amount and then go for it rather than being overwhelmed by too many choices.
Common phrase, back to basics, right?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I think it can be liberating, especially like if it is difficult to finish things, or because, for example, as a musician, right, creating electronic music, you have like all the sounds in the world that you can work with. I mean, you can get every sound bank, even like so many things for free. You can get samples, you can get everything. But I mean, if I start to listen to every sound before I actually write the song, I will never get to the point where I actually can write the song, let alone finish it. And so I figure, hey, okay, so if you only have like 3 instruments, perfect. It can be helpful sometimes, you know. It's great to have options, so don't get me wrong, but I certainly thrive if I do not have too many options, because then I get creative with what I have, because I don't want repetitions to happen all the time. So okay, I have used the sound, but I don't want to use it again exactly in the same way, so I tweak and do stuff and reverse it and whatnot, you know, rather than looking for a completely different tool and sound box. I like that. It's helping me.
Totally hear you. In this age of a gazillion plugins, and you can get lost in where you're so busy upgrading your software and keeping your patches up to date, you never actually compose anything because you're so busy. You're feeding the machine and you're feeding the software. You're not feeding the creative effort.
Exactly. Yeah.
My mentor, who appeared on early episodes of this show, Dan Wichmann, he very astutely caught me quite quickly that I was being additive about things. I was adding reverb. I was adding this. I was adding, and he stopped me and said, "You're going to learn really quickly. Producing music isn't about adding; it's about subtracting." Yeah, and I looked at him like, "What are you talking about? Subtracting? Then you have silence." And he's like, "No, you'll see."
Yeah.
It's really easy to make when you have all these tools to just make a hash out of the whole thing.
Sure. Yeah.
And really, usually the pearl is found by opening up the clam, opening up the mollusk, and getting past the meat and whatnot, and there's the pearl. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think creating music is also about creating space. And I certainly can remember I used to play in a stoner rock band, and it was this feeling that all band members always wanted to play. And I was like, okay, perhaps like in this verse, you don't play at all. You know, I was like, what? Like, why am I not playing? And I'm like, yeah, because then we're creating space and more dynamic and things like that, you know. But then you have egos in the way sometimes that make that a bit more difficult. But that's exactly it. subtracting is great, because then you can create like huge dynamics, which I really like.
That's a very good point.
Jazz
Otherwise, you just
musicians would agree with that.
What was that, Joe?
Jazz musicians would agree with that. The space. So it's the space between the notes, for example, and whatnot. Between the notes, that can be everything. That's partly what I liked about this. The last video. It's like you had this tremendous resource of costume and setting, and you had this tremendous restraint and focus of the music, and it was all about the space between the rhythms.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
So let's see here. We have come to the end of the main part of our interview. Can you hang tight for an after party? All right, you're down with the after party. Hey, everybody, you've been watching Sunday Live with me, Caleb, my sidekick, Joe, and our guest this week, Anna Wichmann of She's Excited. We've been watching her music videos, getting her insights into art and the creative process, and hopefully you can take from this some suggestions to go unblock. If you've become blocked during COVID, you've gotten stuck on the couch watching, I don't know, endless hours of Netflix, and you want to bust out of that and do something creative, take some of her advice, reach out, take a risk. Worst thing that happens is nothing, but I bet you something will happen. All right, we're going into the after party. We're going to show some more music videos and get some more insights on the creative process right after this. All right, we are in the after party. So, a couple little more background. You're in Brooklyn now. You weren't always in Brooklyn. You mentioned Cambridge. Was that Massachusetts or the UK?
Yeah, Massachusetts. Yeah, we shot the video for Round at the CSAIL MIT building, actually.
Oh, okay. I was wondering where that was. I don't remember when I went to MIT once or twice, the museum there. I did not see that. So something to check out next time I'm in town. And then you're not originally from the East Coast of the United States. True, so what's your let's get a little backstory on record for folks. When did you start playing the accordion?
Hey, okay. Like, apparently, since I'm from Bavaria, I guess I should have learned it. I didn't. Yeah, I was born in Munich, and I grew up in a suburb south of Munich, pretty close. Like, it was basically the city. And yeah, and then I moved to Sweden, to Stockholm for just a tiny bit, and came back to Munich, and I studied in Italy for a semester in Siena, which was great. And
love Siena.
Yeah, and 8 years ago I came to the US, first to Cambridge and now New York City, which is fantastic.
And you studied music?
I mean, it's really funny. Like, when you grow up in Germany, you have to learn the flute somehow. It's a German thing. Like, if you go to elementary school, everybody learns how to play the flute. I mean, it's cool because you learn to read music, right? So that's great. I had a little bit of piano lessons and a little bit of learning chords on the guitar. But I don't know, the drums I learned by myself, and the bass I learned mostly by myself. And I don't know, music is just, I was always so lucky that people around me had old instruments, and they were like, hey, I have this old bass. Do you need a bass? And I'm like, holy cow, of course I want the bass, Or, hey, I have this electric guitar, no use for it. Like, could you use it? Yes, definitely, And when I was playing in bands, like, the drummers were always really kind and let me use the drums to practice and stuff like that. So I was really, really fortunate when it comes to that.
So in your recordings, do you play all the parts, or do you get other musicians? I mean, given that you got this whole collection.
I mean, now that I'm doing mostly electronic music, I usually play on my computer keyboard or here on on my tiny Akai or things like that.
Nice.
But yeah, the guitar I play myself, of course. But yeah, I don't know. Like there were times where I was like doing the Lenny Kravitz thing. Like I recorded the drums and then the bass and then the guitars and then the vocals. Yeah, I did that too. But this was before She's Excited.
Got it. Yeah, I think mine's been a mix of a bunch of stuff, but most of it has been computer. I laugh that Tim Lahane's been doing these acoustic versions of my tracks, and he actually plays guitar and mandolin and all this stuff. And what I delivered to him, even though it's an acoustic or a rock track, it's all loop based, and I don't feel guilty about it at all, because I started with tape, reel to reel, playing every little instrument, every little sample, and on these computers where if you got one sample and you applied reverb to it, you went to lunch. And then you came back and said, oh, that's too much reverb, undo. And then you applied more reverb, and then you went home for the night. So I feel like I've paid my dues.
Yeah.
So no guilt at all. And it's I think more acceptable. When it became like big DJ sessions had whole arenas and they're sitting there with a laptop, I think the culture shifted at that point and said, okay, this is okay. Before that, I remember being at an event and I was playing the backing tracks. I learned my lessons from Nine Inch Nails. They did cassette tapes, and they said they would snap during a show. Or Depeche Mode in the 80s did reel-to-reels, and they would actually run two reel-to-reels. So if one snapped or jammed, that they would just crossfade to the other one.
Okay.
So I thought I was being clever, and I was using CDs, and it was working. It was great, because I used to take tons of gear to gigs. I'd had ADAT tapes playing backing tracks, all this stuff. And then, I got smaller and smaller and smaller, and I finally was down to like a mixing board, a CD, and a couple of people in the band. Someone would hit go on the backing track, off we'd go. I foolishly put some backing vocals with effects on the CD, and the power supply in this one venue caused the CD to restart after 10 seconds.
Oh, damn.
Never seen this before or again, but all of a sudden in this venue, they heard the voice with the reverb come back on. And we stopped the show, we fixed it. Okay, I just pulled the power plug out of the wall, went on battery, and we did the whole show. People came up after, and they were so angry. How dare you, Milli Vanilli show? I'm like, you have no idea, dude. The history of the record industry. Did you ever hear someone play live on TV? No, because it's never happened in the history of music in Europe, and it's all pre-record. And I thought, dude, I was still singing. He was still playing bass. She was still playing drums. I don't know how that makes us Milli Vanilli. But they're definitely like that. I see how that tolerance level has shifted.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
There was a Nine Inch Nails secret concert in San Francisco in the 90s south of Market Club. It was we had 3 hours notice, and it was a place which called the Oasis on 11th and Folsom. And the dance floor is basically a plexiglass floor over a swimming pool. But anyway, so we got this very exclusive 90 minutes of Nine Inch Nails. And one of the things about it, the venue was a small nightclub. It was so small that the power source for Nine Inch Nails had to come from a giant cord that was almost a foot thick that went out to a tractor trailer truck that was in the back that had a massive generator, because that's what it took to power a Nine Inch Nails concert, even in a small venue. And that's 20, 30 years ago. Think about now, you can almost run a concert from a smartphone.
Yes.
People film entire movies using smartphones, iPhones. I just, Grimes, one day Grimes is going to get on stage and all she's going to have is like a little smartphone in her pocket, and she's going to run the whole concert from mixing and everything from what's in her lapel pocket.
It'd be very cool to see that happen with the light show. Just reach the phone and be doing the lights as you're singing.
True.
That'd be cool. Yeah, it's incredible the amount of gear. yeah, just going from doing these, I always forget if it's the emulator, the E2, this huge steel samplers with 5.25-inch floppy disks and all this stuff that I started out on. And yeah, now iPhone, certainly the Mac laptop, no problem. I bring the push for and use Ableton Live for the live show, maybe just to have something on stage.
Yeah, totally.
And when you're performing, it's an altered state of consciousness, and I don't know. At least my performance, when I go, and then it's over. So I don't have time to be futzing around, and I hope the people that I staff around me for the live show do what they need to do. But I've had a lot of flakes, and so I make sure every part is available there as a backing track if needed. If the bassist doesn't show up, it's now a backing track. If he shows up, great, I'll mute the backing track.
That's very organized.
I have my inner librarian.
Yeah, that's great.
I say this, but it is funny. I'll say one other thing, and let's show another video. But my last show, I just realized I had duffel bag after duffel bag. I had more gear. There was a full band that performed before me, and I had more gear that I hauled in for my show. I'm like, wait a minute. I just talked about how I'm downsizing, but I still did it. Because I brought some lights. I brought a big screen to put below me so that if I forgot a lyric, I could see the lyric. I made all the tracks with a video that could be projected and with lyrics that could be read in sync to the click track. But I didn't need tons of music gear. It was actually kind of support gear. Anyhow, here is a video called Verses.
Idol versus hero. High five versus zero. Queen versus heroin. Donna versus Benzodrine. The gravy train against the green machine. The yes is the payoff. The no is the playoff. Yeah. The yes says go, go, girl. The no is the show, girl. Yeah. Alright. get together. Yeah, because all is home. Yes, all is home. To break the ice, to break the ice, to sacrifice. Just like the thing went wrong. Come on, come on. It's one to stand strong. The sing is in your song. In our King Kong, yeah. Because all is home, yeah. The curses, the verses. The curses, the verses.
That was Verses by She's Excited. So I know you said, let's try to keep this on schedule. So that's why I was starting to babble and I was like, oh no, I better show a video. But I am curious, what is your gear setup when you do a live show?
A live show, you say?
Yep.
If I play solo, I have my computer, I have the Ableton Push, I have microphone and vocal effects, and my guitar and some like distortion and delay effects for that. And sometimes, yeah, I bring my Akai Mini. But I have a big backing track when I play on my own, just because it is a decision to make. If I am on stage, what is more important? Is it more important that I have the freedom to move around and to be energetic and to express myself as a singer? Or is it more important that I try to pretend a full band? And for me personally, it is the energy and the fun that I can have with an audience, the interactions I can have with an audience when I'm a singer, mostly, you know. Yeah, and this is why I decided that way. I would rather have a full-blown band and nothing would come from Ableton Live, but at the moment it's just not possible. I don't have a band. I travel a lot. I play gigs in Europe as well, in the US. It's not easy with a band to do that. You know, I can just pack my gear and go, but I cannot pay the tickets for 5 people, you know. So it's just a decision to make. And this is the decision that I made for where I am right now.
Nice. And the technology gives us this opportunity to do more things. It's again, like the Mystic Moment about leveraging technology. You can leverage your gear to do something larger than otherwise you would have been able to do, say, 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's true too. But I mean, yeah, I think it is like if you go to a concert and a show, it is about the feeling that you're there live. But I know when it comes to, when it comes to electronic music, I think as a singer, you're the biggest live part anyway. So that's what I focus on. Yeah. After
a gig where I paid a videographer to film the gig, I told everybody what we were going to do, in San Francisco. It was all dialed in. I then caught a cold. Or was recovering from a cold. So that was the first blow. But I was like, okay, just some hot toddies. I can do this. We can still do it. Then there was some delay in getting us on stage, and the guitarist had one too many. The drummer, keyboard, electronic drums, and keyboardist was in a certain mood, and then the bass player showed up as a different person with a different outfit for a different band. And in hindsight, I should have told them, I don't know who you are at the moment and what this outfit is about, but the Flamingo event is probably next door, and kept them off the stage. And I didn't, and that made things even worse. And a part of me was like, well, chaos always kind of works for me. No, I just have this video of this absolute disaster on stage. So after that, I launched something I called the Spartan Tour. And it was me, all my songs as karaoke. And I would work with people in the karaoke scene. I'd gotten enough rep to actually get my originals available as karaoke. So I'd go up into a venue and request by that band, who actually was me, and then I'd perform as a vocalist. And that was so liberating because all I had to do was show up and make sure that they had gotten that file. Oh, I'm coming to France. I love this band. I would love to do, sing karaoke at your great venue. Da 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 da. And if they got it, showtime.
Cool. Yeah.
I bought a small amp that's battery powered, that has a drum machine built in and effects built in. You can plug the guitar right into there and the vocals right into there. I was hoping to do some busking. It didn't turn out that way. But yeah, there's lots of different ways you can downsize that works for people. And by the way, I was only caught once. I was only ever... What was that?
I think if you have a good presence on stage, this is the most important part anyway. I mean, that's all what it comes down to, right?
Yes. And it's not about pitch when you're live. People will forgive pitch, but if you have no presence, no. I had to learn that the hard way because I was so worried about pitch. I would like give these performances and I'm like, oh, geez, I'm being really boring because I'm so worried about hitting the note. That's not what you want to do. On a recording,
exactly.
On a recording, yeah. But yeah, things have really changed. And by the way, saying on recording, I don't even have to worry about pitch on recording anymore. Tim has started working with Melodyne, and I'd futzed around with it over the years, but it's really arrived, and now I can actually just let my emotions go, which makes me pitchy, and then we can fix it in Melodyne. And it's just totally changed my life because I'd have to do take after take. Oh, I missed that note. I didn't know that. I listened to it here. And now you're like, okay, how about I focus on my gut performance versus my intellectual performance? And then, since it's a released recording, you want to touch things up. And when I looped back with Tim, I said, how exactly you're touching this up? He says, I'm touching it up by not touching it up. I'm like, what? He's like, oh, I fix, if something that doesn't sound right, I fix it. If it sounds okay, I don't fix it. And I was like, what? You mean doing it wrong can be right? Where do you fall down on this when you're doing your vocals? Where do you fall on this topic?
The most important part is the delivery, in my opinion. I want people to understand what I am singing, even if they don't know the language, even if they don't understand the words. I want them still to have a feeling. So singing is kind of like being an actor, right? You need to be in the right mindset and in the right mood to record vocals. Otherwise, it's just plain boring, no matter how you sing, if it's pitch or not. It's just bland and meaningless. So yeah, I certainly focus on the delivery a lot.
And
it needs to have this right energy, and if the energy is not there, the song is lost.
It's great that I love how you said that. Because now I'm thinking about the last video, and in the last video, you say a single word, and it's super hooky. You just say a single word, kind of a single sound, and it's totally the hook. And there's the official melody hook, but for me, when I think about this song, I think about that one moment. Why? Because it's just delivered right on. This is Hello Sunshine.
Oh, baby. hold mine? You wanna hold mine? Yeah. Could you not? No, baby. Come on. Oh, yeah. Oh, hold my hand. Yeah. Hold my hand. Oh, hold my hand. Hold my hand, no sunshine. 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 Hold my hand. And stay with me. 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 And stay with me, yeah. And stay with me. And stay with me. And stay with me. And stay with me. Stay. Yeah. Stay with me, baby. Stay with me, honey now. Stay with me, sugar boy. Yeah, stay with me. Oh, my sunshine. Hold my hand, my sunshine. Oh, my sunshine. Boy, you're my sunshine. Hold my hand.
That was Hello Sunshine by She's Excited. So the one word that for me sticks out in this song and draws me to it is yeah. It's got all these words, all these hooks, all this bit, but it's the yeah. It's just the way you deliver those yes. I'm like, oh, what's that? And it gets back to what you're talking about performance, right? You nailed that moment and that stands out.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Now, Joe's been kind of quiet. We now have an official segment called Last Call with Joe since you were last on the show. So I'm going to move on to the Last Call segment so we can try to keep a little bit on schedule, even though I know we're over time already. Here is the Last Call. Unfortunately, we do have to wrap up. It's about 120 degrees in my studio, and I think I'm going to pass out. So here's Joe. Thank you so much for that, Joe. So
I like that. This is brilliant. This is great.
So yeah, Anne, what did you think about what Joe laid on you there?
What did you say?
What did you think about what Joe said?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I read an article like a couple of weeks ago about the death of genres, and that more and more we see in music that genres are like combined and melted, and the boundaries are getting weaker and weaker. And I was super happy to read that, because not only enriches this our lives a lot, but also like all these, I'm this and you are this, I listen to this and you are this, and creating all these groups and differences rather than seeing, hey, we all enjoy music and this is what you like and I can learn from you, and creating a feeling of togetherness. I think what happens right now, that genres get less and less important, is a great thing. And I totally I totally agree with what Joe said, and he put it in a brilliant, like very on the point way.
Thank you.
And there you go, Joe. More encouragement for you to compile your writings into a book and to work with me to get it published on Lulu. No pressure.
Yes, I want to read it.
I've been bugging him. He posts these great things online and then on the show. And a couple months ago, I'm like, wait a minute. We need a segment. This, your wisdom is great during the show, but we need like a Just Joe block on this show. So thus the last call was invented, and
very cool.
Yeah. And so I'm like, you gotta, this is just, the show is just a trick to get you to write. And then once you've written, you just have to put it in a Word document and we're good to go.
The Sunday Live Diaries.
Exactly. Perfect.
Love it. I can go a little longer if you want to talk about vocal stuff, but if you're ready to tie it up, I'm gonna. Yeah,
let's tie it up. I'm also like melting.
Every break I'm like wiping my glasses. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's great to see you again. Congratulations on the new release. And Joe, throw in one last word.
I love the videos and I love the music. It is very, very infectious. And it's very challenging to not be complacent and absorb your talents and creativity. Like the challenge that you put down is for others to do the same, to inspire, and to get off their butts, I guess, like me, and be more creative and do our part, my part, to create more, to take your cues, take the ball and run with it. And if not better your example, at least follow it and keep the creative process going.
Cool. Thanks so much. Thanks both of you for having me. It's a pleasure to hang with you and to talk to you and to exchange points of views. That is really, really great. Thank you.
Very creative, very inspiring.
Absolute pleasure. All right, let's all say bye to the audience. Bye,
Goodbye,
folks.
everybody. Good night.
Bye, one and all. Thank you again.
What was that?
Goodbye, one and all, and thank you again for joining us.
Cool. All right. Ciao. All right. That Sunday Live this week, the last week of June. It is sweltering hot out there, so stay safe if you're in one of these areas that have excessive heat. COVID's still out there. Stay safe. Get vaccinated. Something like 99% of all new cases are just people who haven't gotten vaccinated. So it works. All right, folks. Ciao.